So if you have a whole blood and they actually ask you, what are the components of whole blood? Okay, what are the things you can find in whole blood? How are you going to go about this? Okay, so it's on that basis that we'll be talking about the composition of blood. In as much as it looks so simple, there might be people out there that don't really know how to put this in place for good marks. Okay, so let's quickly look at what the composition of what blood. And this image actually what summarizes everything, where you see that what plasma make plasma come plasma what um plasma is about what 55% of total blood. All right, then the buffy cut you see at the middle where in centrifuge blood contains leukocyte and platelets, and it's about what just less than 1% of the total blood. Okay, then also erythrocyte. Erythrocyte, those are the red blood cells. They are about 45% of what total blood. So let's quickly run through the lecture on the composition of blood. We said that blood is composed of what cellular blood cells, which are suspended in plasma. Okay, so now these blood cells make up cellular elements. Okay, so blood cells make up the cellular element. Okay, this leukocyte, platelets, erythrocyte, right? So the watery part of blood is actually what, or the liquid, is basically the plasma. Okay, so talking about the cellular components now, we said that these cellular components include red blood cells, just like we saw here, white blood cells, that's leukocytes, platelets, that's what, thrombocytes too. Okay, so now these cellular components of blood make up about 40 to 45% of total blood volume. Now generally the red blood cells, that's the erythrocyte, consist about what 45% of the volume of blood, while the remaining cells, those are the white blood cells and leukocyte, platelets or thrombocytes, they are just what, less than 1%. All right, but trust me, every cellular component is useful. The white blood cells, they are kind of my lifestyle. All right, they are low key, but they are the loudest in the room. Okay, because white blood cells, they are inside this less than 1%. All right, but they'll protect your body against what, crazy infections. All right, so that's like, they don't really make too much noise. Okay, then talking about plasma, we see that the remaining part of the blood which appears what, clear, slightly sticky, yellowish liquid or fluid is the plasma. I see that is what, yellowish. Okay, now plasma consists about 55 to 60% of total blood volume. Plasma is mostly composed of water, which makes up about what, 91 to 92% of the total volume of what, plasma. Okay, the remaining 8 to 9% of plasma contains things like protein, glucose, mineral ions, and hormones. Okay, but in smaller, okay, but they are in smaller proportion than water, of course. Okay, water is what, 91 to 92% of plasma. All right, so water is what, the greatest component of plasma when you're talking about plasma, right? So now, on this now, that each of the components of blood is kept within appropriate concentration limits by an effective regulatory mechanism. Okay, so now in many instances, feedback control systems are operatives. For example, we have stimulus for increased hematopoiesis is evoked in cases of what, cytopenias. There are four major types of blood cells. Okay, we have the red blood cells, also known as erythrocyte. We have the platelets, also known as thrombocyte. We have the lymphocyte. We have the phagocytic cells. Okay, so now collectively, the lymphocyte and the phagocytic cells are what is known as what, white blood cells. Okay, also known as what, leukocyte. Okay, so I hope you guys have learned one or two in this lecture. All right, we'll continue additional lectures on blood. See you guys pretty soon.